Today we are talking about Utah weather. How cold does it get here? How hot does it get? How do you deal with all that snow? What's the inversion layer and how does that actually affect you? Stick around, we're gonna talk about all that today. My name is Heidi Knowlton and I am a real estate agent here in the Salt Lake Valley. I love doing videos on real estate and educating, but I also really love doing videos on the area and what's great about Salt Lake and what neighborhoods are great. Any information about living in Salt Lake City, I love to share that with you. So be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the little bell so you get notified each week when I put out a new video. Utah definitely has 4 distinct seasons. You're gonna know when you go from winter to spring or when you go from summer to fall. In my opinion, the best months in Utah are gonna be April and May and a little bit into June. And then also when school starts, so September, October time. Those are the 4 months that are just perfect weather here in Utah. Utah also has really dry weather, so in the summertime when it gets up into the 90s, it's not so miserable because we have such low humidity. We're actually one of the driest states in the country. And the same thing happens in the winter. Even though it's 20 degrees outside, it doesn't feel like 20 degrees because the weather is so dry, we don't have that humidity that makes it feel so bitter cold outside. So winter times in Utah, let's talk about that first because that seems to be the most concerned season of the year because of all the snow that we get. So winters here actually aren't too bad. I thought it would be worse moving here from California. I'm used to 50s in the wintertime. So here we're down in the 20s and 30s in the wintertime, which is still pretty cold. We do get a good amount of snow. The average is about 40 inches a year, but don't imagine that you always have 40 inches of snow on the ground because that is definitely not what happens out here. So you usually get an inch or 2, sometimes 4 or 5 inches. In a rare case, you'll get more than that. But typically snow is on the ground some of the time, not all the time. Temperatures, like I said, get into the 20s and 30s. When I first moved here from California, the temperatures did get into the negatives a couple times, but that's not the norm out here. You definitely are typically in the 20s is the coldest it gets, and then sometimes down into the teens. The good thing about snow is that it is so beautiful. When you have freshly fallen snow, it just looks so beautiful to go outside and walk around and look at all the trees covered in snow, the houses covered in snow. It really is a really pretty scene to look at. It's very picturesque. The downfall to the snow is that for one, you have to drive in it, but secondly, that you have to shovel your driveway. So that's kind of a pain. So just send the kids outside, give them $5, tell them to go shovel the driveway, and that's how I deal with it at least. If you really like the snow and you want more of it and you don't want to live in the mountains, but you still want to have lots of snow and be close to the city, there's a neighborhood in Draper that is called Suncrest, and I lived there for a couple years, and you will get tons and tons of snow up there. It's up on the mountain, a little bit higher elevation, but it still is only about 30-ish minutes away from Salt Lake City. So you're still close to everything. But let me tell you, if you want snow, head up to Suncrest. And if you want information about that community, get my contact information from below. I can send you everything you need to know about that city. One negative thing about the winter here in Utah is that we have an inversion, and that is like a layer of polluted air that just kind of sits in the valley. And this is because warm air moves in and it gets trapped and it has nowhere to go because it's situated between mountains. So it creates this layer of inversion, and it's an unhealthy time of year here. It's about 16 to 20-ish days out of the winter that we have these days. But on these days, you don't want to go outside very much. You don't want to go running or hiking. The best way to escape this inversion is to go up into higher elevations. So like I said, that community up in Suncrest, that's a great place to live because you are still close to the city, but you're also above the inversion. Go into Park City, go up into the mountains, go skiing, stuff like that. All those things are safe to do during the inversion. You just don't want to be in the valley outside running around, breathing really heavily and inhaling all that pollution. So what exactly is there to do in Utah during the winter time? It's so cold outside, lots of people just want to bundle up inside, but there is definitely a lot to do outside. So obviously skiing and snowboarding is really popular. My favorite place to go is Alta or Brighton. Those are the 2 ski resorts we go to. Their ski instructors are awesome. I highly recommend taking a ski lesson or a snowboarding lesson. They are so helpful and they will help you build your confidence and get you out there on the slopes and being able to ski really well. After that, you can go snowshoeing, which is really popular. The views when you go snowshoeing, it's just so beautiful outside with all the fresh snow. That snowshoeing is definitely an activity I would highly recommend. There's also ice skating and there's also snow tubing. Kids love to go snow tubing. It's, you know, easy. You can, as a parent, you can sit back and watch, or you can go snow tubing with him, but that's really popular out here also. Then of course, sledding. There are so many sledding areas that are free. You just bring your sled. If you want a list of those, please reach out to me. Again, my contact information is below. I can send you the best sledding hills in the valley for you to go out and have some free fun on. So what if you don't like to go out into the snow? You could head up to Park City. You're still gonna see all the beautiful scenery from the snow, but you can just kind of sit back in, find a resort and hang out in the resort. And you can read a book by the fire, or you can go do some shopping. There's so much shopping to do up in Park City. It's a really popular spot for that. If none of that sounds good to you, then definitely take a weekend away, go down to St. George. It's only about 4 hours or so from Salt Lake City, and temperatures are warmer down there, there's less snow, and it's still a beautiful place to visit. So let's move on to summer. Summers in Utah are hot. No doubt they're gonna get hot. They're gonna get into the 90s. It doesn't get into the hundreds very often, so that's really awesome, but it does stay into the 90s for August and September. Also July, those are kind of the hottest months out here. But again, the heat is a dry heat, so you don't feel nasty and muggy and just disgusting when you walk outside because you don't have that humidity here. So June is the driest month we have, and it also has the least amount of rainfall. But on the upside, it has the longest days. We get about 15 hours of sunlight during June, which is perfect when you want to be outside all summer long. When it comes to summers in Utah, there is so much to do. Everybody is outside and just soaking up as much sun as we can get, as much warmth as we can get, because we know in about 3 or 4 months it's gonna be back to winter again. I do have a video on the best lakes to visit here in Utah. Be sure to visit that. We love to go to the lake in the summer. We go boating, kayaking, swimming, anything to do outdoors we love to do. There's also an endless amount of hiking. There's so much hiking to do here in Utah. It is ridiculous. I don't know that you could ever visit every single hiking spot out here. There's just so much. If you want to avoid the heat and go for a hike, I would say head up to the mountains. It's gonna be about 20 degrees cooler up there. So your hike will be, for one, it'll be beautiful because of all the tall trees and the lakes up there, but you'll also be able to handle it better, not being 95 degrees and going for a hike. Two of our favorite spots to go for the lake are Jordanelle Reservoir. It's a really, really huge, but it is just perfect. There is some sandy areas where you can sit in the sand and relax, and you can have your kids go out and play in the water and you can still see them, or you can go boating for hours out in Jordanelle. There is just so much to do. We really like to go there during the 4th of July. It gets really busy. If you go out there for the 4th of July, I would recommend renting like one of the little pavilions so you can have a table and some shade, and it's a great way to spend your 4th of July, or any other day actually in the summer. And then Bear Lake is another one of our favorites. Going up to Bear Lake is just beautiful. The lake is so pretty. It's a cute little town. There's lots of shopping to do. There's hiking, there's boating, of course. There's jet skiing, kayaking, anything you want to do in Bear Lake. It is really fun to go there. They have the Raspberry Days, which is at the beginning of August. So be sure to check out Raspberry Days. There's lots of fun activities to do during that time, but also get their shakes. Their raspberry shakes are so delicious. They are really popular for their shakes out there. There are dozens of flavors to choose from when it comes to getting a shake, so be sure to check that out. So spring and fall, those are definitely hands down my favorite seasons here in Utah, and they're also the shortest. They definitely do not last long enough. Spring here, the weather starts to kind of warm up a little bit in March. You get some teaser days where it gets into the 40s and 50s, and then the next day it'll be in the 30s again. So March is definitely up and down with the weather. You're still gonna see some snow in March. Same with April. You do get some more sunlight in April. You get some more rainfall towards the end of April. You do have cold days again. You do have, snow some days. It's kind of this, up and down. You've got snow, you've got rain. You've got snow, you've got rain. And it just kind of goes back and forth for March and April. And then May is definitely just a beautiful month here. We usually have 1 to 2 days of snow in May. So if you're a gardener, don't plant anything until after Mother's Day. That's kind of the rule of thumb here. Although last year we did have 1 snow day after Mother's Day. That was in 2020. But typically you have 1 or 2 snowfalls in May, and then you're good after Mother's Day to start planting. The best part about spring is that everything is starting to bloom again. The trees are getting their leaves back. You see tulips coming up, and it is just so beautiful to drive around through spring and just see all the color coming back to life. You know, everybody is sick of the winter. We don't want to be in the cold anymore. We just want nice, warm, sunny weather. Spring is definitely a season that brings so much like joy and fun times, because we know that winter's over and we've got summer coming up where we can be outdoors a ton during the spring and the summer. Spring is a good time to head south and go to like Zion National Park or Bryce National Park, or go to St. George, because the temperatures aren't super hot yet. They get over 100 down there. So spring and also fall, actually, those are the best times to go down south and do more exploring, do lots of hiking, just enjoy all the scenery and be outdoors. Once October hits, then we're moving into the fall season, and fall is just stunning out here. It is so picturesque. The trees are changing colors. You have got pink colors, orange colors, yellow colors, different browns. I mean, it is really the best time of year. There is lots of hiking to do. I would definitely suggest doing hiking during the fall time, because it is just going to be so beautiful outside. It's breathtaking. The temperatures are low to where you're not sweating as you're hiking. Also a good time to go backpacking. I love spring and fall also because you don't have to have your AC on. Usually you don't have to have your heater on. It's a time of the year where I can save money and have my AC and furnace shut off and just have the windows open and have the nice breeze coming in and just smell the fresh air. It really is the best time of year out here. So that's it for my comments and my thoughts on Utah weather. If you have anything to add, I'd love to hear what your favorite season is or your favorite activity to do. Put a comment below, I'd love to hear about it. If you found value in this video, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to get notified every week when I make a new video, and I'll see you on the next one.